Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Jim Benton here with Chorus, and I'm with Bob Perkins, founder and chairman of the AA-ISP. Bob, so great to see you again. It's been many years since we've been together. How are you doing?
It has. It's good to see you again, face to face.
Face to face. I think I was on one of your stages like 2014. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to be with you. You're out in Arizona today?
Out in Arizona, sunny Arizona. Hasn't rained in probably a month.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
Staying healthy.
That's right. Yeah.
Bob, you've worked with, so many inside sales groups over the years, just a beacon for these groups. What are you seeing out there? What are you hearing from these communities, and what do the next, 8 weeks look like for all of us?
Well, talk about growth, right? We've tripled in growth in the last 2 months. And I kind of say that jokingly, but now everyone is inside sales, right? So that's what we're seeing.
It's amazing. What from the inside sales teams, how have they adjusted to working from home?
Yeah, pretty well, because if you really think about it, the inside sales role, we've been used to virtual this, virtual that for many, many years, over 30 years, really.
Yeah.
So it was an easy shift, albeit, a challenge going from a very tight knit, oftentimes in person, cube to cube, person to person, teams together, to now sort of off on the islands. So it's been a little challenge.
Yeah, as we looked at the data, one of the key things that we shared this week is that we saw a 7% increase in the recorded number of meetings, and overall, staying consistent since pre-COVID. Is this consistent with what you're hearing out in the market?
Yeah, it is. In the beginning, it was a little bit of a shock. I think for a few weeks, it's like, what's happening? What's happening? Then there was an adjustment period of let's figure this out. Now there's a bit of an acceptance. And I think with that acceptance, we're back to normal. Hey, I need to do the job. I need to be speaking with clients. I need to be speaking with prospects. I have to keep, reaching out to people. So that's probably in part why you've seen some of the consistency in numbers.
So as teams are getting back into it, and we're seeing, a good push forward, what are some of the toughest challenges for teams today as we look at the next few months coming up?
We've been polling this regularly. Each week we do different meetings. We have a team day. We bring teams together. We ask them, what are the tough challenges you're facing? The number one that keeps coming up time and time again is really this thing about motivation, a little bit about isolation. And so you gotta understand, if you were part of a high productive, high energy, where there's buzz in the team, and now you're kind of off on your own, that's a big change. And you can understand motivation could be a key. Now you sprinkle that with, you might be sharing an apartment, a home with other people, kids, right?
Yep.
It gets tough.
Icebreakers, as we call them nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
What, in terms of motivation, have you seen any plays out there that are helping to keep teams connected and some creative ideas?
Yeah, when we do these team days, that's the question we ask. What are you doing to stay motivated? So we hear everything from, hey, I take these 2 15-minute yoga breaks during the day. Hey, I go outside and I walk around my block, all the way to managers that set up these strictly social video 30-minute things that has nothing to do with work. It's come together and just, talk to your peers, all the way to Friday happy hours. We've had leaders that have implemented virtual games to play, right? Just like you would if you were in person. You're going to go off and have a chat with a friend. You're going to go out to lunch with others. They've done things like sent lunch to the team. Hey, we're just going to have a team lunch. So
I love it. I love the walks. I noticed the other night, and I may be sharing too much, but my little Fitbit, my tracker said I'd only done 943 steps by dinner. And I told my family that I'm technically legally dead. We gotta move. So these ideas of people doing one-on-ones and team meetings, walking and less video, I think are fantastic. I'm raising my hand for those myself right now.
Yeah, and with technology, video on your phone, we've seen a lot of people go out in their backyard and take a meeting with their boss or a peer, and just to get out and get some fresh air, some sunlight.
It's motivating. It does. It's a change of pace.
Yeah.
As we look at another stat that's new for this week is an update of overall productivity by market. And I'm curious, with the AA-ISP being very event driven from my days working with you, what are we seeing in terms of field sales and just travel again?
Well, obviously travel has largely stopped. I've heard of some people that still have to travel if it's an essential product that they have to get out and meet with people, but it's largely stopped. Field is now inside, work from home, and events they pivoted virtual. It's interesting how I say this old saying, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? We, as the AISP, a conference-centric business, we've come up with new creative ideas to do virtually, some very small roundtables, right? All the way up through large conferences virtually. So I think people are accepting it now. Before it's kind of like, what am I going to do? Now it's like, no, we're going to do this. It may not be all that it was in person, but it still can be pretty good.
Your experience working with field teams right now, how are they adjusting? The enterprise teams of the world, which play different roles. It's not just technology. The sales motions sometimes can be different, are different.
Yeah.
How are they adjusting right now? What are you hearing from those teams?
Well, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I spent about an hour with a group of 40 complex field sales. They have field engineers, big ticket items, right? They were very often at the customer site, right? Now, the good news is they had, over the years, like we've seen, they've adopted some of the things that their customer wanted. Screen sharing, for example, the ability to fire up a video, a phone call, a text, an email, right? All those things. So they were somewhat used to it, but what they weren't used to was being confined in one space that they had to do all the same productivity and work they did by getting out to the customer. So they're learning new things. We were teaching them things like time blocking, right? Things like, how do I continue to establish and even build relationships and build trust, gain the ability to meet new people, meet new referrals, right? But never going there in person.
That's the question. Are the large deals getting done? Are the really complex big ticket deals, are people building the trust that's required to get those over the line right now?
Well, they are. And it all depends. The context could be, hey, is this a current client that I've established trust with? Well, that's a different situation than maybe someone that you haven't met. The good news about building trust, yes, we would all say to shake a hand and to look someone physically in person, eye to eye is the best. But with the advent of video, which is so accessible now, when you and I look at each other eye to eye here, we build rapport. A chemical called oxytocin is released. It's a feel-good chemical. It will help to build trust. So we can still build trust. And I got to tell you, this thing on building trust, I saw a LinkedIn article about a month ago. Somebody said, "Hey, we're all inside now. Face to face is going to be dead." Well, which I don't believe. But one person wrote in, "There's no way you can ever build trust unless you see a person." I disagree with that. Right? Yes, I think it's great to be physically in person, and that's the ultimate. But we were building trust with people when we didn't have video. When we didn't have email, we were building trust. When you're on the phone with someone, how do I get you to trust me? One, I shut up and listen, right? I listen to you and I provide value to you, and I don't shove anything down your throat. I keep my damn product or solution in the bag until I've earned the trust and the right to offer a solution that could help you.
I think that you mentioned it there, which is people that have already met before COVID in person, they're using video and virtual beautifully. It's just accelerating efficiency.
Yeah.
For those that are developing new relationships, clearly we can build trust over calls and video. The question is the speed. And as the world reopens and resumes, whether those that are getting back out in the field, which I expect to see, are going to be able to accelerate the cycles versus those that maybe stay home more.
It's hard to say, really. You got to understand too that today's buyer is different than it was even 5-10 years ago because of the availability they have to self-educate on the internet, to talk to peers about what they need. So largely, the buyer today is a heck of a lot more self-sufficient than they were. So that there has sped up the sales cycle. However, we were talking earlier a little bit about is everybody going to still stay at home? And our field reps going to largely stay at home. Well, no, I think there's going to be a bit of a desire, a pent-up demand. We're social beings. We like being in person for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there'll be a little bit of an appreciation and pent-up demand to get out to an event, to a conference, for a customer to see their sales rep face-to-face. So I think it certainly isn't dead, and it may even come back stronger than before. Who knows? That's
what I'm expecting, a multi-channel approach where I don't think you're going to fly out just to sit in my conference room and walk through a PowerPoint deck. I think we'll do that virtually with different offices. But I think you're going to say, I'm in town, let's grab lunch, let's do an event, let's go to the game. Yeah. I think the experiences, we're all going to be super hungry for those interactions.
I agree with you. And, I think we will learn what's meaningful, what's valuable. And honestly, I think that's what inside sales did really well when you turn the clock back over the last 10, 15, 20 years. They were forced to add value even remotely. If you think about, look, I remember in 1993 when I worked at Unisys, and it was all phone. Email was just emerging at the time. Yeah. It was phone. We had customers that wouldn't buy from anybody else other than that person that served them so well over the phone. Now that's commitment and that's trust. So, the same thing holds true today.
I like the CEO of Airbnb had a quote that I saw last week about how people aren't going to travel for work anymore. They're going to travel for fun. And when I think about work, it'll be up to all of us to make it fun to meet for work. And I think that's the change is I'm not going to jump on the plane just to pitch a deck, but I will take you out to an event and make sure that lunch is fun or what we do together has more joy than, because you have to justify not being on video, which this is so quality. This is so good.
It is good.
Give me more than just, being in a conference room with me.
Well, I'm kind of laughing here because I got to tell you, a little secret here, right? So AA-ISP, we put on a couple of executive retreats. They're small and they are fun. I love them because I get to play golf with some people that I only see once a year. That's fun.
It's just great. It's just great. Yeah. I think my grandfather taught me deals get done on the golf course. I still have not seen that today. This generation, we jam in a different way. Let me get your opinion and perspective on what we've been sharing on cold calls and really outbound's the message here. It's how do we connect with people today? How do we build new opportunities? We've shared this week, cold call dials are down 32% since January, up 11% week over week.
Yeah,
10% good. Connect rates. But what are you seeing? How are people building pipeline today?
Well, what I'm hearing is that people are very much willing to talk. I think in part, excuse me, because they're prospects and their clients are at home, right? They're shut down. They they're looking for lifelines, they're looking for communication methods and so on and so forth. So when someone calls them, oftentimes they're willing to at least have a conversation. Oh, you stuck at home? Yeah. A little empathy there, and the conversation gets going. So that's the good news. I do think though, and I think this is why you're seeing an uptick week over week. I think there was a shock thing which paralyzed a lot of people. What do? I can't cold call. right? Well, yeah, you can cold call, right? And I think people are now accepting this, and they're getting back to their normal cadence or normal, hey, I got to reach out. When I was speaking with that group of field reps now that are at home, I said, you didn't necessarily have call goals or how many people I want to talk to today goals or the type of person I want to talk to today, or do you think I can get 3 referrals this week? Now you should, because you got a time block, so I think Jim, maybe we're seeing that now a little bit, and we're starting to a lot of people are accepting, hey, this is kind of the new normal and I got to get after it.
You were talking about personalization before and just how people engage. What's changed and what do we need to be doing going forward?
Well, there some of the problem still is what I call spamidemic, right? It's really, there's still so much non-personalized stuff. You and I can't believe that. We were talking earlier, like, why? Duh, you have to be personal in your approach, but there's still a lot out there. There's still industries. But what I think is, it's one thing to, let's say, talk to someone new or email someone new and say, hey Jim, I just saw that Chorus has released this new study on this and that, and that's pretty good research. That's okay, but everybody's starting to do it. And Jim, you're rolling your eyes up. Here's another salesperson that's told me something about Chorus or about me. But I think you need to have a strong purpose or reason. Jim, I see that Chorus just released this new data on connect rates and discussion rates. And that's why I'm calling you. I want to take a minute to dig into what that really means. And here's why I want to dig in, because the AA-ISP is presenting this data. So I think if you have a strong tie, a link between the personalization and the purpose, that has a better chance of earning you the right to have a discussion.
I think it's right. I think personalization is core, but it's table stakes. That's sales 101. And I know that we lost that and that we've got our great leaders bringing it back, which is helpful. But bringing the purpose back to sales seems to be also table stakes, but so critical. And I'm seeing sometimes people just getting it wrong, where they're wanting to connect to show they're human. And I want purpose. I want, show me how you're going to help grow our business. So I love that you're seeing more of that. Bob, one question that just came in from the audience was just going back to the field travel. The question was, will people want to meet with reps? Will they allow them into the office? Will they want to meet with someone that, given the virus and not knowing, where people have just been, will we accept that?
That's a much bigger, that's a question for humanity, right? For just human beings. Will we get a vaccine? I tend to think when we get the vaccine, that to me is going to be the big trigger that's going to get us further back to normal. But I think there's going to be a big normal. Listen, I think there's going to be, like I said before, once the risk is mitigated, and let's say it's a year from now and it's gone and there's a vaccine and it is back to normal, I think there's going to be a new purpose and reason to get together face to face. And I think we're going to need to, right? But maybe in a different way than we did in the past. Not just to get together and be in a big group or I'm going to meet you because you're a client and I want to do a QBR or I want to do a check-in to see how we're supporting you. There's going to be, I think,
purpose,
a purpose. But I think don't you think a new appreciation for literally getting. Who doesn't want to get the heck out of their home right now? Come on.
They'll find any reason right now to come out and meet and deal with a good group of people and learn right now. So I think that there will be an appreciation. I think your point on purpose is we're talking about in many areas, getting back to the basics of why we want people to bring people together. What do we want to get out of it? How it's going to help each party. I'm super excited that we're seeing this resurgence of that. Bob, thank you for kicking off Friday with us. So great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Jim, and all the best with your work, and stay safe, and we will see each other face to face again soon.
Boom. I love it. Thanks, Bob. Cheers.
All right.